A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I have with me today Brother Abid Shah, who many of you may know. Essentially, he has served as the Masjid's Chief Technical Officer, looking after the IT and the tech needs of the Masjid over the last 14, 15 years. One of the key items of technology that he has been responsible for, he's developed, has been the AirMyPrayer system, which many of you will be familiar with. It was a replacement for the FM radio system that we had, and I just wanted to speak to him about that and what the new developments he's made for this system. And so firstly, Shah Sahab, Jazakallah khair for all the khidmah that you do for the Masjid. So what I wanted to ask you was, the AirMyPrayer, why did you think there was a need to move from the old FM system to this new digital platform? And it's been through a number of iterations as well.
Yes, yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I walked into the office and there was umpteen voicemail messages on the phone. And all of them were asking, what time is Jamaat? And I thought to myself, hang on a second, people are phoning the mosque, expecting someone to pick up, asking for what time Jamaat is. I said, this is an easy problem. So I can fix this. So the first iteration of the AirMyPrayer system wasn't actually the radio.
Oh, right.
It was actually the prayer timetable.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, none of the mosques were using any sort of timetable. So then I got to work. Again, my initial impressions were, this is a quick fix. I can do it quite quickly. I mean, I'm in IT already. So then I got to work doing that. So that was actually my first task in the whole journey of AirMyPrayer. And one of the things we wanted to do is I wanted a system which we can feed in the prayer times, and then they become available to everybody on the website. But not only that, I wanted somebody to be able to change the Jamaat time, in other words, the Imams, without our intervention. And they can kind of change it, and then the whole system will get updated. So within seconds, the end user or the congregation will know what time the prayer is. And then that was my first bit of work. And what we did is that I got the prayer timetable. It went through about 100 different versions until I got it right with that familiar green background. But in the end, after about 100 different versions, we put the screens up and we got the first version up working there. And then at the back of that, we already had a first version of the Aylesbury Mosque website. I don't know if people remember it much. And those times were then synced. So that was the first progress point. And after that, I had it running in my house on a TV screen, just in my front room. And someone said to me, oh, you know what, it'd be good if the sound came out of that. And I thought to myself, you know what, that's a really good idea. So then I got to working, right, now how can I incorporate sound now? And one of the things is that with the old system, the old FM radio, what we were finding is that a lot of people were moving away from Aylesbury. So if you're 2-3 miles away from Aylesbury, it wouldn't pick up. And there was no solution to that. The other thing is that if you were in Southcourt regions, then it would seem to pick up the other mosque. So there was a clash of frequencies and stuff. And we couldn't do anything about any of those problems. And 20, 30 years ago, this system was perfect because not everybody had internet. But now, as people have got internet, the system's kind of a little bit dated now. So it kind of needed a replacement because there wasn't anything. I couldn't suggest a solution to repair it. So therefore, I got to work on this system.
Good. What do you feel were the biggest challenges in developing AirMyPrayer, and how long has the project taken you so far?
Part of the challenge is although it was an idea in my mind of what I need to do and the requirements were clear. However, the difficult part is actually getting it working as a system.
Yeah.
If you've got something that you is an idea in your head, it's a concept, and you don't know if anybody's done anything similar, and at that time, I don't think anybody had, although I was familiar with a system in Luton that somebody was using, and he had pretty negative feedbacks about it. So I didn't have a working model to relate to. So therefore, I didn't know if this is impossible, if it was even possible. So that was part of the challenge, is this going to work or not? So and I didn't have any framework to go by except for what was in my mind at that time. So theoretically, it should work, but how we're going to do this? I didn't know what technology to use. I didn't know how we're going to do it. I didn't know if there's going to be any problems once it's actually, I've got it working initially. So that was the biggest challenge, is actually getting it working in an acceptable sort of way. And I was challenging a system that had, up until now, worked pretty well. People were pretty happy with the old system. You know, some of these things, it's perfect. I mean,
there's not much can go wrong with it.
Exactly, exactly. You put it, leave it in the corner of your room, and you put it on, and it works. I mean, what can be better than that? That's why the system that we had, the FM system, has been so successful, because there's not a lot to go wrong, right? However, because of the reasons we had, it came to end of life, I think.
We're still broadcasting, though.
We're still broadcasting on that system, but I needed to replicate a system which is going to be as reliable as the old system, however, using a new technology. That was the problem. And it's not just about and scale of devices as well. I'm not going to broadcast in 10 homes, 20 homes. I'm looking to broadcast all of Aylesbury. So how many devices am I going to be looking at?
Well, at the moment we're broadcasting to over 200 devices, aren't we?
Correct.
Households.
Yes.
And so that's just this Masjid then?
So because in this Aylesbury Mosque, it has got around 200, over 210 online all the time. So that's 210 houses, families which have got this on. However, if the old system, probably if we include them, in total there's probably over 500-600. The question in my mind is that some people say to me is that, why do you think we need an Azan radio in our houses? Now the thing is that you don't really need one in your house. However, with the AirMyPrayer system, because it comes with a camera system as well. Now this is another thing which is unique, because we just don't broadcast audio, we broadcast cameras, video as well.
Stream,
The thing is I don't believe that there's any system in the UK which does video as well. Why I think it's important to have this in your house, the people who had it, they say that it creates an Islamic atmosphere in my house.
Right.
What does that mean? That means that when the azans going off in your house, the kids become inquisitive and they ask, azan's going off. They get reminded. If they see it on their video, on their screens, they go, Masjid's up. And some will get excited by it. So what's important is that it creates an Islamic atmosphere in your own home, and without it, if like, for example, opening your fast, some ulama say that opening your fast before, that there should be something that you do collectively in your house. But instinctively, you wouldn't do it. Everybody goes to the table and they start eating. But they say that as a prelude to that, some people have 10 minutes of zikr before. Now that's creating an atmosphere. Someone says, oh, well, we've always done that. My dad's always done that. So I think that's important, is that creating that atmosphere in the home.
Yeah, mashallah. I think also because you're broadcasting from within the masjid, I think it creates an attachment to the masjid as well, which I think is very, very important, particularly for people who live at a distance away and can't attend the masjid regularly, that they have this link, particularly our women folk.
Yes.
Who and I've heard it from many of our sisters that, you know, having the AirMyPrayer system has really changed their Islamic life and their attachment to the masjid.
And not forgetting those people who can't make it to the mosque because of disabilities. There's people out there, the old folk, who can't come to the masjid. And I know that when the camera feed doesn't work or it goes offline, I get phone calls within the first 5 minutes. Ashaji, no camera. Why isn't the camera on? Because they're watching clearly.
What are the future plans for AirMyPrayer? Because I know it's just gone through another iteration, which we will get onto in a minute.
So for many years, we've had pretty much one device. Ideally, you want a finished product. There hasn't been any sort of massive investment. It's all charitable, right?
You're not running this as a for-profit venture.
No. It's never been a profit venture.
It
never has been. So it's kind of run on charitable endeavors. You know, wherever we can get money, we kind of put it into the system. And I try to do my best. Most of the time that comes, the costs that I involve are from development costs. However, I've taken care of that because most of the time I've developed it myself. Now, the thing is that if that's most of my cost, your 90%, 80% of your cost is going to be development, and I've already taken care of it. However, people don't realize that there's actually a monthly cost to the platform at the back as well. So there's actually infrastructure that's working in the background, which we have to pay a monthly fee for anyway. Now, Falcon taxis are largely to be thanked for that. They have been doing for a number of years. But the thing is that for the future, I mean, what I really wanted to do, I wanted to have a device which kind of looks more like a device,
right?
A finished, polished product.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, currently the device that we have, although very reliable, met all the requirements that we originally discussed. I didn't think it was quite a polished product. So in the last 7 or 9 months, I've kind of put it in a tablet form.
All right, okay.
And now it looks more like a product,
right, okay.
Which means that people are going to have it on their desk side. I mean, which they can do that for their old system, but it's all a built-in system now. So it looks more like a polished product.
Brilliant. I know over the years, I think you've been featured in a magazine, right? So what recognition have you had for this system?
So one of the things is many years ago, it's been about 7 years ago, one of the Raspberry Pi magazines, which is a kind of the board that I use, that they contacted me and asked me.
So just for information, Raspberry Pi is essentially a mini self-contained computer that AirMyPrayer was developed on.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So many years ago, they asked me to kind of provide some details on what I actually used that for. So I managed to get a double page.
All right.
Right in the middle of their magazine. Right. Feature page on how I use the Raspberry Pi, how it benefits the community. Now they kind of were interested in community work, which this is a perfect project for. So one of the things I mentioned is that I use that for the prayer timetables. I use it for the broadcasting system. I use it for transmitting as well, and it kind of features in a double page. So that was really nice that they asked me, and I gave them a quite a detailed response. The other thing, obviously, the corporate wire recognized it as the best religious platform for 2022. So I was featured in that magazine as well, and also the Mosque Beacon Awards. We come runners up for the Aylesbury Mosque Beacons Awards. So they're the recognitions I have, but recognition isn't, although it's nice to have, but what a developer like myself, when he does something for the community, what he really wants, he wants people to use it.
Use it, that's right,
I don't care about the money. I really don't. I want people to use it because that gives me the most satisfaction.
Benefit from it.
When I meet a random person and he doesn't know me, and he looks at he goes, what time is the Mars time today? He has no idea that I've developed anything. He looks at the Mars time, and this has actually happened, and he was like, the Mars time is this, and then he shakes his head and goes, Allah bless the person who did this. It saved me so much. Allah bless the person. And he doesn't know me. He doesn't know I've developed it.
Well, that's Sadaqah Jariyah. I mean, this is what we all endeavor for.
Yeah, that gives me the most satisfaction. Because that's what, you've got a job. Alhamdulillah, it pays well. I don't really need to do this sort of stuff. This is something that I do in my spare time.
Giving back to the community.
Giving back to the community, right. And that's my skill. That's my skill. So therefore, I use my skill to give back.
The khidmah of the masjid and khidmah of the deen and the khidmah of the community is, people, if they've got any skill sets that benefit others, they should utilize them for fi sabilillah.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the key things that comes out to me from the AirMyPrayer project, that this is a labor of love. And the intention was to benefit.
Benefit. Allah accept it. Allah accept it. And the thing is that I was telling somebody that if people knew how hard I worked on this, they'll be seeking me out in the streets and shaking my hand, because people have no idea how I used to sit on the sofa until my knees were not going straight no more, because I didn't have a desk that time, and I was sitting on the sofa doing this, and I spent hours and hours and hours, because remember, I didn't know what was going to work. So it was trial
and error.
It's trial and error. So I went through one version of the system, and it didn't work. And I spent ages at it. I spent months at it. Then I had to take it down again. Then I built version 2. That didn't work after spending months. Then the version 3 was a lot better. So it went from multiple iterations and stuff like that. So before we got it right.
So we're going to move on to having a demonstration, essentially the latest iteration of AirMyPrayer. So as you know, it went from a small AirMyPrayer platform, which is a small box about that size. It would plug into the HDMI port of your TV. And when the microphone came on here in the Masjid, it would switch your TV on and switch channels, and you would get the stream for the mosque. From now, if you just want to show us, so now, this is the latest, is a tablet system, which will just sit on this stand wherever you want in your house. You would plug it into the mains, and it would sit there constantly, and you have your prayer times, you have weather on there as well, don't you? It's got the weather on there. You've got a donation QR code and messages for the masjid. But this is the latest iteration, and inshallah we'll be putting it out to the community. If anybody's interested, they can get in touch. We can,
so the messages actually, the mosque can actually broadcast messages. For example, janazah at a certain time, urgent messages, and it will just turn up, come up on your screen.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, and I hope that was useful for everyone. And I do hope more people will take up this device that links you to the masjid, links you to the community, and just it gets information out to you as well.
Yeah. So obviously they can they can see the stream, they can listen to the audio on the mosque website as well.
Shukriya ji. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.